So this weekend was supposed to be the invasion of Area 51 in Arizona. They were expecting to go and see the UFOs that the government has stored over there. At least this is what they believed. But my understanding is that there are no UFOs. What people might be seeing as UFOs, it could be military maneuvers, military new equipment they're working on, development, Canadian, Mexican, European, Chinese, all these major military powers, they have the research going and they're having vehicles that are unique. And when people see them, they want to think that probably it's something from another world. But is there a garage in heaven that vehicles will be, able to come here? There are other planets. There are other people in space. It is clear from the scripture. When Job had his encounter, it was because in heaven, the sons of God, and each son is representing of a different planet. Adam should have been there, but the devil was there. And God asked the devil, "What's going on, man?" He said, "I'm walking up and down the earth and this and that." And he latched onto the Job um, um, situation. Um, there, these other worlds, they could be considered as a part of heaven. And their job really and truly is just worshiping God all the day. I mean, this is what they do. They just worship God. That's their life. That's what they do. I would argue that probably heaven where God is and these other colonies or these other planets are a part of heaven, right? Um, this is why humans cannot see those worlds because they're so far away. I mean, God knew what He was doing. He saw that man can develop this capability and they might want to go close to heaven. You can imagine if man had the ability to go to heaven, evil men, they'll get, self-destruction as they approach. Now, heaven with these other planets is just like how the Garden of Eden was. Very primitive, tall folks, big trees, luscious fruits, giants, and so forth. Um, and so these dwarfs they show here showing up as aliens from another planet. I think it's so hilarious, right? These big-eyed folks and looking so weird. And yes, God has a variety of ways of creating things, and we weren't necessarily created the way God looks. It's just that He had a plan for these folks here, so that when they, to fulfill His plan. All right. And I don't think that any way in heaven they can have small people like these. And they will not be coming to this planet because why are they going to come here? This was a testing ground. It's failed. It's sick. It's evil. It's everything that, can't really countenance heaven. And so if those folks were to come here, I think that there will be destruction because even when Moses was up on the mount there to receive the Ten Commandments, and he spent 40 days and 40 nights with God, when he came down, even the powers of God, the light from God was even shining through his cells and his flesh. And the folks couldn't even look at him because of this glare, such that these folks coming down here, if it were possible or if they were interested, when they show up, there's be this glare. We won't be able to even see them because the glare might be so blinding. And so we have the transfiguration when Jesus was in encounter Elijah and Moses. We know that these individuals lived on earth and they died and they were taken to heaven. And Elijah didn't die, of course, but Moses died and he was taken up to heaven. And so they came back to strengthen Jesus and to encourage him in his work. And there was no vehicle that was reported. We know these were people who lived out in space, out in heaven, and they came here. And there's no record of any vehicle or anything unusual that people had seen. So I'm not sure why they're going to come now to tell us what. We have the scriptures. Christ came and died. They have no message for us. We have no message for them because we have fallen and we have disobeyed God, and here we're suffering and in this diseased planet. Now, this is high magic. I've never seen a UFO, nor would I ever see a UFO. I mean, you have to be an evil person to see a UFO. If you see UFOs, you're an evil person. Um, when Moses went to Pharaoh, one of the tricks he had to do, or one of the miracles to convince uh, Moses, convinced Pharaoh to let the people of Israel go, was to throw down a stick and it became a serpent. And the magicians, they had sticks too, they threw down theirs. And it appeared as though they became serpents. But these magicians can't create life. God told Moses to throw down the stick, and God has the power to make life. So what really happened, they see as though these things were, they saw as though these things were moving, but they weren't moving. And then Moses stick ate up these sticks, and I don't know if it got big or what, but um, that's how that went. So um, going to this place here to get harmed and get shot by the military is just a waste of time, because they don't have no UFOs. And even though they might be entertaining this thing and talking stuff like that, I don't think they have any UFOs. These beings from the, we can't control those beings. If they were possible to come here, we can't control them. We can't have them locked up, and we can't have them in our little zoo, all right, to show them to people when they show up and whatever, all right. So the type of environment that it is to come from space to here, you can't have such a small vehicle. These vehicles can't make it out there. Those little vehicles that people seem to say are UFOs, how on earth they're gonna go past the sun and go past those other suns and go so far without disintegrating? You know, how long will it take for that to get here, etc. We know that whatever means of transportation God uses, that it's fast. Heaven is way beyond, we could even, way even beyond the furthest star out there. And we know that the furthest star is about 105 light years away. So heaven is maybe 5 times that away from the furthest star out there. And there's absolutely no time we would be even able to get there. And so, how long would it take for those vehicles to get here? And can they endure it? But we know when Daniel was praying for an understanding of a vision he had, before he could have finished praying, Gabriel touched him. And Gabriel said, when you started to pray, God said, come and tell you what the vision is about. So that wherever heaven is, more than 105 light years away, he was able to do that in a couple minutes, maybe 10 minutes. And sometimes I think they had encounters with devils who were trying to prevent them from getting there. So they could do it maybe in a couple seconds. I don't know how it is done. I don't understand the way flight happens in God's realm. We saw where Jesus went up to heaven and came back after he was crucified. Remember, he told them, don't touch me, I haven't seen my Father. Then when he came back, he was able to allow them to touch him. Also, when Elijah and Moses um, transfigured with Christ, um, we know that they are in heaven. Moses died, Elijah was translated without dying. And they showed up and nobody saw any vehicles, nor did they see them leave with vehicles. So these we know are in heaven, and they came here, but there was no vehicle, and they were normal human beings. So I would assume that the other beings up in heaven and those other planets are similar to us. Um, of course, they were created for a different strategy, and I don't know if they were created with the same speech that in the image of God. But the image of God doesn't mean that they look like God. Is that this is the plan I have for these humans that I'm creating, and He created us according to that plan. Of course, the plan has been marred because we don't look like these giants or like Adam and Eve. Therefore, the plan has changed. And therefore, I want to conclude that there are no UFOs, and this UFO story is just a big joke. It's bordering on evil, and as the world becomes more and more evil, there might see more UFOs because that is the realm of the evil. The devil is going to be deluding them with a whole bunch of things, not only UFOs, but he's going to appear as though he's Christ and he's out in the desert out there and he's overseas over there and he's on some mountaintop. That's how it's going to go. So don't put yourself in danger. There are no UFOs that are real. If they could present a UFO, they would have done it already. There are no UFOs. They're just devils that are just trying to delude Satan followers.